Well, the first and only time that I saw a purple pterodactyl above my bedroom window was when I failed to read the instructions on my Ambien bottle. If you do not read, if you actually take Ambien before going to sleep, you will see stranger things than pterodactyls. I can promise you that. Although that was a small failure on my part, it did serve as a really big lesson for me. Now, you may not have neglected to read the pill bottle instructions, but you failed at something before. We all fail every day. We have these little failures like burning dinner. We forget to send in the right report. We're late. We have misspellings in our tweets. All these little things creep up on us. But what about the bigger failures? What about when you fail at your hustle? And that can be anything. It can be writing a book, launching a product, starting a business, anything. If you failed at your hustle before, you probably found yourself asking, how do I bounce back? How do I recover so I can succeed at something else? Before I started Curious or editing, I partnered up with my two closest friends to start a t-shirt company. My first official company was a lot like middle school picture day, a complete disaster. And the thing about middle school pictures, they don't go away. Just when you think you've burned the last inkling of evidence, they creep their way back up onto Facebook, flooding your memory with a lifetime of regret. A couple of months after leaving my company, I sat down and I wrote at the top of a notebook, if I could do anything in the world, what would it be? Now, I knew the answer, but I thought that because I had failed at a company before, I was going to fail at this one too. When our hustle goes under, we have to find a way to get over it. So today, I want you to write down the 5 steps to bouncing back from failure so you can jumpstart success. Number 1, acknowledge all the positivity in that failure. No matter how bad your hustle turned out, there had to have been something good in it. Maybe it was the first 5 pounds you lost, the first chapter you wrote in your book, your first client, your first product you sold. Think on those positives. Our minds are wired to think that failure equates negativity. But if you view your failure as a positive, it can stop you from heading down the road to resentment. Number 2, accept the lessons learned. I know, we can actually learn lessons from our mistakes. It's a miracle. I learned so many lessons from my first business. I learned to stay away from credit cards. I learned to be a good leader. As an editor and writer, I read a lot. And the thing about avid readers is this. We do not want to quit reading a book even if we hate it, especially the classics. We feel obligated to finish it. We owe it to that book. If I just power through, this book will get better. No, it won't. The Grapes of Wrath did not get better for me. In fact, thank you. In fact, when I quit reading it on page 150, it was like a burden had been lifted from my shoulders, and I felt so much better. So don't stay in a business you hate just because you're worried about quitting. Maybe you're worried that you'll hurt somebody's feelings, like your business partners. Maybe you're worried about what your family or friends will think if you quit something again. Jen Moff is here today, and she will tell you that leaving a toxic situation, yes, even a hustle can go toxic, can stop you from making terrible decisions. It can help you to pave the way toward true joy and inner success. Number 3, apply the knowledge gained. Knowledge is the receiving of information, so therefore wisdom is the application of knowledge. I know that a tomato is actually a fruit, but wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. Now, I didn't need to go to business school after that first business failed. Oh, I learned so much about horrible taxes and finances and social media and networking and all these things. Even though my business failed, I am wiser now, and I have the tools and information I need to succeed. So what happened to you that allowed you to be wiser? Number 4, abstain from self-destruction. How many of you beat yourselves up every time you fail? Me, I was over there beating myself up, so I was like, I ran up there too fast. I jumped the gun, I got too excited. You aren't going to get anywhere if you don't let go of past failures, okay? What would you do if somebody said something like this to you? Walked right up to you and they said, you failed again. Well, surprise, surprise. Or what if they said, you have failed at this 100 times. What on earth makes you think that you're going to be able to succeed this time? I don't know what I would do if somebody said something like that to me. I would be heartbroken. Yet, we say things like that to ourselves every time we fail, don't we? We say things that are so low and so hurtful, and we wonder why we can't get past our failures. You know, newsflash, you're not a piece of dirt. You are God's creation, and you are strong, and you are worthy, and don't let anybody else tell you differently, including yourself, especially, not yourself. 5, achieve your dreams anyway. So you failed at something, that's okay. People fail at things all the time. Who taught us that because we failed at something, it means we can't try again? You know, that's a self-taught mentality that accomplishes nothing. If you failed at writing your book, if you failed at losing weight, if you failed at launching a business, try again. If maybe that hustle wasn't the right thing for you, maybe it was toxic, redirect. And you guys aren't the only ones out there to have failed, by the way. How many of you love KFC? Anybody in here like fried chicken? Okay, Kenda's like, I don't know if I like it. Okay. Colonel Sanders' famous secret chicken recipe was rejected over 1,000 times before it was finally accepted by a restaurant. He didn't even found KFC until he was 65 years old. Mark Cuban from Shark Tank, he failed at so many different things. Before he made billions selling his company, he failed as a carpenter, a cook, a waiter. He says of his failures, I've learned that it doesn't matter how many times you fail, you only have to be right once. I was an idiot lots of times, and I learned from them all. Thomas Edison was told as a boy by his teacher that he was too stupid to learn anything and suggested he go into a field of study that did not require intelligence. He tried over 9,000 experiments before he created the first successful light bulb. Sometimes pessimism creeps in with failure, not just from ourselves like I talked about. Edison's own teacher said he was too stupid to do anything. But why? Why are people so mean to us when we fail? Why do they say these things? Because at the root of all negativity is jealousy. When I was a teenager and I would get so upset because life is so dramatic, my mom would say, they're just jealous, honey. They're just jealous. Did your parents ever tell you that? They're just jealous. And I would look at her and I'd be like, oh, Mom, they're not jealous. Oh, you're so embarrassing. And I would tell her that, and the truth is, she was right and I was wrong, and you're wrong too, and people are jealous of you. Oh, mind blown that people could be jealous of you. Well, they are. And for some reason, we listen to these jealous people, and we listen to the things that they say, and we let what they think stop us from trying again, from living our dreams, from launching out. It goes back to the question, but, what will people think of me if I fail? Everybody listening today? Who cares? Who cares what other people think of you if you fail? You don't have time for that. You have a world to conquer. Today, or maybe when you get home, you have a homework assignment. I want you to go home and play some soft music, light a couple of candles. I want you to write down all of your failures. Sounds really romantic, right? But I want you to write down all of your failures. Speaking of writing things down, earlier I had said, if I could do anything in the world, what would it be? The answer was editing and writing. Oh, I loved it so much, and I really missed it. And I didn't want to take that leap because I'd already failed before, so I thought I was going to fail again. Until I realized it takes failing to succeed. When you write down your failures, write down all of your successes. What did you fail at so you could succeed at something else? Did you fail at writing a best-selling novel so you could succeed at writing a really great short story? Did you fail at becoming this mega fitness instructor so you could succeed at spending more time with your kids? You know, I could spend the rest of my life regretting that t-shirt company and calling myself a failure. Or I could leave the pity party early, dust myself off, and try again. So I did. And I truly believe that you can too. And if you want to hear more about my ambient adventures, see me after class.